Hello and welcome to Timberborn Update 6 on Experimental. It's been just shy of 9 months since the last bombshell experimental mode drop when we got Update 5 with the bad water mechanic, and believe it or not, Update 6 is even more of a game changer. So we're going to dive right in. We're going to start a new playthrough with the Folktales faction, and on a map I've never played, Mountain Range. That's actually asymmetrical 256 by 150. Should be a fun time. Lots of verticality on this one we can get to as well. Going to stay on normal difficulty, and I will see you on the other side of the loading screen to discuss all the fun new stuff in this update. Alright, of course, you know what we're doing here. We're going to call our settlement Beaverburg 17, because this is the 17th series of Timberborn we've done on this channel. But there we go. 17 Beaverburgs here on the Mountain Range map. I'm going to hit pause, and we're going to talk about these patch notes real quick. There's a lot to discuss here, and I don't want to gloss over too much, so if you want to skip the yapping and get to the building, you can go to the time code on the screen here for the start of our playthrough proper. Seriously, there's a ton of stuff. Buckle up, folks. First up, we have three-dimensional water physics. People have been asking for this in Timberborn for almost as long as the game's existed, and because of the way the water system had been constructed prior to this, it just simply was not possible. But now, water is truly three-dimensional. We'll be able to construct aqueducts, vertical drains, layered spillways, and many more exciting things that were but a beaver pipe dream just, let me check my notes, 5 hours ago, as of the recording of this video. Water is also now rendered differently to look better, and it will additionally no longer be slowed by water wheels. My guess is that this is going to result in some pretty nutso shenanigans with infinite power generation, which of course is something we're going to have to test in due time. So of course, with these three-dimensional water physics, we've got some other fun changes to the way building works to complement them. One of my absolute favorite mods in prior versions of the game was side platforms, which allowed us to build overhangs and place buildings on top, and really opened up construction opportunities in tight spaces. But now a similar feature is implemented in the base game in this update, which Mechanistry is calling overhangs, and it seems from the patch notes that they should work very much like that mod did. To go with those and to allow construction of aqueducts, we've got these new impermeable floors to construct, which are going to act like waterproofing for the surface and prevent water from falling through. So as you can see in the image they provided in the patch notes, we can have actual aqueducts just suspended over nothing, just like the beavers have been dreaming of for this entire time. It's very, very exciting stuff, folks. And in addition to that, we can also run paths on top of these impermeable floors, which is going to be great, because the contamination and irrigation barriers we had in Update 5 did not allow pathing without building a platform on top of them. Speaking of platforms, metal platforms have received an update and are now considerably more expensive to research, but much less expensive to actually build, and also no longer restricted to being built only on the ground. So there can be some building shenanigans for sure. That's going to be very exciting. Suspension bridges have also been reduced in research and construction cost. Water pumps and deep water pumps now reach down much further, 5 and 8 blocks respectively. And we have a new natural feature as well, natural overhangs, to create some really interesting landscape designs that kind of remind me of early beta Minecraft terrain generation, with the overhangs and the floating islands and all that fun stuff. So that's going to be fun. You can add those in the map editor as well, if the map you're playing on doesn't have them and you'd like them. Next up, we've got the sluice. This is a fantastic new block that acts as a kind of compact dam gate and weir all in one, and can be automated to open and close based on contamination level. Remember all our automated floodgate shunting headaches in the modded Update 5 playthroughs? This is going to help solve those without the need for mods and without the need to try and figure out opening and closing manifolds and this and that and the other. It should be a much, much simpler thing for us to work with, which is great. Floodgates also got an update that's going to allow them to be adjusted in increments as small as 0.05 units instead of 0.5, 1, or 0. That is amazing. That's going to be so good for trying to figure out flow and all this different stuff. I'm very excited about that. And now the big one Mechanistry teased over a month ago, Wonders. Both the Folktales and the Iron Teeth each get a new in-game structure. Folktales get an Earth Recultivator, and the Iron Teeth get an Earth Repopulator, both being massively expensive, and they'll have a multi-stage construction as well, so we'll get to enjoy the gradual building progress whenever we get there in future playthroughs. Once we build a wonder, we'll get a pop-up that'll tell us some statistics about our playthrough, and then it'll unlock a flexible start location option for all future playthroughs on that same map. Pretty cool. Not only that, but we also have official in-game modding support, finally. This is going to have such an enormous positive impact on the future of the game. Fantastic development here. Timberborn now has a Steam Workshop section as well, which for right now is gated behind opting in, which I've done, and you'll be able to as well if you decide to play on the experimental branch along with me here. For right now, it is pretty barren. There's only a couple things on there, but I do know there are a lot of modders already working on getting stuff ready for it, so we should see those start to trickle in as the experimental update 6 matures a little bit. I've gone ahead and preloaded the Shanty speaker mod for this playthrough as a sample, and we're going to get to try that out later on in this playthrough. Stick with me, folks. We're almost through these mammoth patch notes. Up next, tail customization. Think of these as temporary tattoos for our beavers using either default designs tailored for each faction or custom ones. We'll see what kind of shenanigans we end up getting into with that later. Folktales also have a new building to replace the mud bath called the Mud Pit, which is larger and has a fun new model befitting the Folktales more laid-back lifestyle. That does mean that mud baths have been changed to be an Iron Teeth exclusive building, but this new one's going to be fun for us to play with in this playthrough and add a little bit more flavor to our recreational time for our beavers. There's also a huge roster of improvements, changes to maps and game visuals, performance tweaks and improvements, bug fixes, localization options, and more, which you can choose to look at your leisure in the patch notes. And that's it. Let's go ahead and move on to actual gameplay and get going with all these exciting new features in Update 6. Alright, so that was a massive set of patch notes. We'll go ahead and take a look at the map now. Since this is something that we have not played before, I'm going to leave the game paused just so we don't run through any of our time here in this first cycle. But this is Mountain Range, like I said. There's a lot of verticality on this map. Lots and lots of opportunities for us to build up and not necessarily out as much. So I thought it would be fun, since we have all these new vertical features in Update 6, to take advantage of that as much as we can. This right here is going to be our main freshwater source for probably the majority of the playthrough. Of course, all the rest of this is that nasty poison bad water. But we'll be able to harness that at some point and take advantage of everything else we have going on. I don't see any natural overhangs in this map, which is not surprising, because this is not one of the ones that was specifically updated for Update 6 like a couple of the other ones were. But it's got some interesting stuff in here. We got blockages seemingly in the middle of nowhere, quote-unquote, but I could see how these could be utilized in an interesting way to try and create larger reservoirs or what have you. So we'll go ahead, and we got another one right here too. We'll go ahead and we'll get going here with our very first step in this new world here. Let's go ahead and first off place a lumberjack flag so we can start cutting down some trees. I will just pop this up right about here, and of course we'll get our paths drawn in place again as well. This is going to be a little bit of a return to form for me. We've been playing water beavers exclusively in Timberborn for the past, I don't know, month and a half. So I have to remember where some of this stuff goes. But since we're already here in the paths and structures thing, you can see now these new things that we've added with the overhangs. And you can see that the suspension bridges no longer require metal. I don't know if I mentioned that during the patch notes review or not, but they are substantially cheaper. And, of course, we have our regular platforms like we always have, wooden stairs. And then the metal platforms are now here as well. Like I said, much more expensive to research, much cheaper to build. And since in the last update we added the ability to actually be able to look at these without placing them, you can see that they're very short now. But they can be stacked, and that's going to be exciting. So we'll go ahead and mark not all of these trees for cutting, but I will mark a decent bit of them because we do have to get some of this wood actually used. Since this is normal mode, I'm not really worried about super long droughts ruining everything. But we do still need to have a farmhouse so we can actually plant and grow crops. So we, of course, will start with carrots like we always do. Pop these guys in right here. I will get this ready to go so we can harvest these dead trees. And actually, this probably would have been a smarter thing to do in the first place, but you know how that goes. I will go ahead and pause this one for right now, just so we can come back to that later. We can also get our pine resin from here if we need it. But remember, in basic game Timberborn, the pine resin isn't really that important until you get advanced enough to start making the treated planks. So that'll be just fine right there. We've got our storage. Same as always, that hasn't changed. We just need to be able to take advantage of all of our resources here. So I will go ahead and put in this pile so we can store some logs. Get this farmhouse started, grow some carrots, and then as they're working on that, we'll be able to come in and get our water pumps going as well. A great opportunity right here to have these two right next to each other. This isn't demonstrated very well right here because this is so shallow, but remember that the water pumps have been adjusted. The large water pump is now 4. Well, it's always been 4. But anyway, these things, the adjustments were only iron teeth, but these will still be maximum depth of 2. I did misspeak in the patch notes review. But we've got a lot of opportunities here to try some exciting new designs with the aqueducts and the waterproofing and all that. It's good stuff, man. I'm so excited for this. Look, we have our dams, we have our floodgates, we have our levees, we have our sluice gates right here, which is a one-way thing. You can kind of see, just looking at this right now, it's got teeth on it, kind of like a weir does, and it just lets water out one way. It's cool, and you can build stuff on top of them, which is great because the floodgates do not allow that, and that was a constant source of frustration for me. I know people had a suggestion for a really long time about having bottom opening dam gates, and my assumption is that the sluice gate is supposed to be kind of a stopgap for that. Let's turbo speed through the rest of the night here, since these guys aren't actually able to do anything. But you can build stuff on top of these. I don't know if you can build floodgates on top of them, and we won't find out until we unlock everything. But we can build levees on top of those, which is going to be nice. And you saw in the patch notes the animated image there that was showing how they were diverting the bad water away. So that's going to be exciting to see. Impermeable floor, again, this is the thing that we discussed in the patch notes. We're going to be able to put paths on top of this, which is fantastic. We still have the contamination barrier as a separate item, which is cool. And then everything else that we have come to know and love with the dynamite, double dynamite, triple dynamite, dirt excavators, so on and so forth. District management remains unchanged. Housing remains unchanged. This is all pretty much exactly the same stuff. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I'm so smart. I'm so good at this game. I didn't mark these for cutting. We will take this stuff out here. We got some thirsty beavers now. It's only day 2, but we'll go ahead and get that water pump up and running. I will do these guys a 24-hour workday just so we can, you know, survive. get this thing going a little bit sooner than it was going to be otherwise. I'll turn this back on to 16 hours. So, some of them will have to end up sleeping here, but we got to get some pumping going because now they're all thirsty. They're not hungry yet, but they will be. So that should hopefully be a little bit of an easier task here. Take this off at turbo speed. It doesn't have to be rushing necessarily, but I will go ahead and put another one of these guys in here. And then we'll put a gatherer flag over here as well, since we do have access to all these berries. This is going to allow us to get down here when the time comes for that. So we just need 2 more. Oh, hey, you know what? I forgot we have hammers now for building. I didn't even think to show it. Well, that's bad on me because I definitely should have done that. They're working here, so I guess we'll just park ourselves here for a little bit and watch them construct stuff. That was one of the things I didn't really mention in the patch notes, but they do have the hammers now for building and unbuilding, if you will. And a couple other improvements to animations. You'll see when the farmers actually start working, they're going to have hats on, which is cool. All sorts of opportunities for neat things. Lots and lots and lots of good stuff. All right. We're going to do it again. I absolutely cannot stand that this is not finished. we just have so much other stuff to take care of. Got to get them going in here. All right. That's already built. Take this back down to 16 hours. But now, I don't know. Yeah, you can see it. All right. I don't know why I paused this. We don't have these named after beard boosters yet because that has not been ported into the actual Steam Workshop yet. But so these are all default names, but they got hats. The farmers have hats. Isn't that so cool? Little straw hats. That's awesome. I love it. So we'll get these guys through the night here. They had started planting some of these carrots. Of course, well, there's not a whole lot of anything ready for them to eat yet. But we'll get there, friends. We'll get there. It just takes time. They got the rest of another 4 days, which hopefully is not during a drought, for these to grow up. That's always the early game challenge with this, right? Is to get all this stuff ready to go. I will go ahead and start planting additional carrots because we are right here. This is going to end up being something for us to put water in that needs to be pumped out because obviously turn this off of turbo mode. We don't need to completely blast through everything we've got going on here. But you know what? I think I'm going to actually leave this open for a bridge later. I'm not going to put any tanks right there. But I will put one here. Pop that in for water. Extend this to 18-hour days because we got a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff to deal with, folks. Lots of stuff. But that's fine. Gonna need some storages here in a little bit. So that can be for the carrots. And that can be for the berries, which are right here. Get these popped in place. Yeah, we should still have enough for right now to be okay until these grow, because remember, it's 2 food per beaver per day. We have 12, and we have another 3-ish days to grow on most of the carrots. It's going to be fine. Might be a little close, but it's going to be fine. So other things that we wanted to take a look at. The well-being tab, of course, has all the new stuff that we got last time, like the dance hall. The mud pit's the brand new thing from this time. The detailer, well, it doesn't cut their tails off, but I digress. We're not going to get to this for a while, but I do think it's super funny that we can essentially stamp on the beaver's tails all sorts of designs. We can upload our own. That's potentially dangerous depending on who ends up doing this stuff. But I digress. Should be a fun time. And of course, here's our Earth Recultivator. 20,000 science, 2,000 gears, 2,000 treated planks, 1,500 metal. And then we want to go activate it. There's other stuff we got to do for that. But just to get a glimpse of how big this is. Look at this. This thing's enormous. It's huge. And it gives such an enormous boost to the well-being as well, which is fantastic. All right, so these trees are slowly getting removed. These have remained paused because I didn't want to cut down all of these pine trees. Everything's looking okay. We got some water getting brought in. We do have to build some more storage for all of that, and I will do that right here. I'll put 2 of those in just so we can have some extra space. And then it's going to be time to think about maybe getting some science or just saying, all right, let's build a dam here. We're not going to get a bad tide in the first couple cycles. We know that for a fact. So it would not be unreasonable for us to just go ahead and put in dams here. Obviously, the levees are cheaper to build, but they require science, which we don't have. So I'm personally inclined to just pop in some dams right there. They can build those pretty easily. We do have a small amount of wood available. And we can always go get more. It's not going to be that big of a deal. This represents, I believe, 40 trees worth of wood to put this dam in here. And we've already cut down. We've already used a whole lot of wood. but there is still lots that we have access to here. I will go ahead and unpause this so we can get these removed. But other than that, there's not really any more wood available, and I certainly don't want to cut all of these down quite yet. It's going to be something we're going to have to kind of keep our eye on and make sure we're leaving at least a couple so they can naturally repopulate. Of course, once we have science, we can get back up here to get these birch trees and all of that fun stuff. But I think for the amount of wood that I'm going to be spending, I would much rather have the dam than the inventor, at least right now. Because we want to make sure that we can keep these carrots growing and have some water for drinking without having too much going on otherwise. So that is going to be one of those things where we're going to kind of have to cut it a little close and see what we can get ourselves into over time. Obviously, I do want to eventually get up here to get these birch trees, but that is going to be an investment of science that I, at this point in time, do not want to spend, because we need to have planks as well, which means we have to spend logs on the lumber mill, and then spend labor and power, by the way, with either one of these water wheels or one of the power wheels. All sorts of stuff to consider, all sorts of stuff to think about. For right now, we just can only do what we can do. Oh, they can't reach this. Okay, well that would certainly complicate things. I guess we'll just add this in. We do have 33 logs, which is going to get us at least 1.5. Well, you don't have half a dam. You either have one or you don't. But you know the drill if you played this game before. I know the beavers are still homeless, but there is not a considerable debuff enough for me to prioritize building a lodge instead of a dam. They do get one. They do get one. It's -3. But I'm just aggressively not concerned about it at this point in time. Everything else here you can see has remained unchanged with the exception of the addition of the earth cultivator right here. I don't know what the bonus is, but I can only assume it's huge. And that'll be exciting. We do want to go ahead and build houses before too long, because the older beavers will start to die off. And once that happens, then you're kind of in a bad spot if you don't have young ones to replace them. But there is only so much wood that can go around. I have just these marked. I will, at least for the very beginning of this playthrough, do the alternating stripe thing, just so we don't cut down all of the trees. And I will retroactively right here to go ahead and do that. But there's so many like just simple mistakes we could easily make by being too overzealous, cutting trees down and putting ourselves into a really bad spot. But I don't think we're gonna do that. Why was that one at a -1? Is that because somebody was hungry or thirsty? I don't know. We have decent water reserves. Again, 2 per beaver per day. We have 12 beavers, 24 water per day, 24 food per day. So water-wise, we can already be pretty safe for the last possible drought length that we can get this early on, which I'm pretty sure is only 4 or 5, depending on how the handicap is set up. I know the maximum drought length is 9. We're not going to get that in cycle 1. It's probably going to be 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, or something like that. But still want to get these dams in place, and that is going to be a very, very long process. We should see these carrots tomorrow morning in-game. Should see these start to mature, and then we'll be able to pull them up out of the ground and actually feed these beavers something that's not berries plucked out of these bushes. So that's going to be fun when that comes in. The rest of this, still plenty of trees that have not been cut that I have marked for cutting, so that's okay. These are continuing to grow here. These aren't going to grow back because they've been dead, and that gives us plenty of space up here to build, which, until we have irrigation set up, I think is going to be the way we want to be doing stuff. So, take this out of turbo speed. Let's appreciate these farmers. Because look how cool this looks with the hats. I love this new detail. Of course, this guy's just sitting here doing nothing. Come on, man. There's harvesting to be done. I guess if there's not... oh, look at the digging animation. That's new. I think. I hope it's new. Because I sure didn't notice it before. That's so cool. I love these little details and stuff, man. Such a fun game. Let's go ahead and get rid of these lumberjack flags because there's no more lumbers to jack. And I'm sure that's definitely what that term is used for. Take a look at our dams. We have 40 pieces remaining that we need. We have plenty of trees to make that happen. So I'm going to go ahead and migrate those two guys over here to be doing all of this. Should go a little bit faster. We've got more carrots coming up soon that we're going to be able to get going. We'll go back to 2 times speed here. And we can watch those guys harvest a little bit of stuff. But yeah, I'm really excited to see all the new fun stuff come up whenever we get there. Obviously, it's not going to be the first episode. Sorry to disappoint you. But if you've seen my videos before, you know that I play long playthroughs. Long playthroughs with no editing unless I have to. Because I need to like take out a sneeze or something, or it's just a crazy long amount of time has to pass, and then I'll time-lapse it, but I am going to show you everything. So if you're used to the super hyper-edited stuff, sorry, that's not how I do my stuff. Hopefully you still like these. If not, that's fine too. But I think it's important to show everything when you're playing the game, because that's the authentic experience, and that's what I'm all about. So I appreciate you being here, checking these videos out if it's your first time. If it's not, of course, welcome back. It's always good to be back in Timberborn with some new stuff. And just enjoy this game. This is such a fun game, man. It's so good. I've been waiting for this patch for literally months at this point. As soon as they teased that they were working on Update 6. And I said, okay, well, you know, as soon as it drops, I'm going to make a video immediately. And we're going to get right back into it. And so here we are. But now we're coming up on the end of day 8 in our first cycle. We should, at some point soon-ish, get our first drought warning, which of course is going to give us 3 days to prepare for the drought. The way things are now, I think we're in really good shape. We just have a little bit more to build on this dam to get that put in place, and then we will have a very nice safety stock of water here to keep everything good. Our storage of carrots is approaching fullness, so for how we are now, I'm actually going to unplant this whole area for carrots. And we're going to start growing potatoes. That's going to be a fun new thing for us to do. And we'll be able to, of course, use the grill. That doesn't have to be unlocked. It's already unlocked, already ready to go. But we do have to be able to actually plant the potatoes. And I'm pretty confident now that they'll be able to survive because this water shouldn't be going anywhere. We just have to get these last 9 logs in place, and there's plenty of trees left for that. So as they take these carrots out, I will be replacing them with potatoes. Slowly, agonizingly, as early game Timberborn often goes. It is a food resource provision simulator with beavers who wear straw hats while they're pulling carrots out of the ground. That's just how it is. That's just the way this thing goes. We still have an extra beaver who is not working, so I'm going to, for the time being, yeah, I'll put him in the district center. I'll actually put 2 beavers in the district center because this gatherer flag is not needed right now because we don't have any berries that have grown, and I'm sure they're going to come back. But now what we can do, now that this dam is constructed, we can finally build some housing, which we will do up here on the ridge. And I'm actually going to go ahead. I'm pretty sure this is the right way to do this. Just build a lodge here and here. Give us space for 6 beavers. And just kind of extend off the side of this cliff here. Not really any specific reason, except I kind of like it. I like these compact housing things. This is not really, I can't really call this design because it's not design. This is just me saying, hey, I'm going to put this here. that's how this ends up working. But we will go ahead. We'll go ahead and just put some houses here. I do have a space right here where I will put a water tank so we can store some more water where these guys can have access to it. And then, of course, once the housing is built, and we know we can replenish beavers when they die from being old, I will get into the science. I'm not going to... This first episode's not going to be super long. My episodes are usually about an hour, but I figured it would be nice to keep this one maybe just the first cycle. Newer viewers might not want to watch the full hour-long thing, but I'm not going to cut it short. I'm not going to cut it so short that it's only like 20 minutes, because what's the fun of that, right? All right. Potatoes going in slowly, gradually. We do have the one lodge. We're going to have more soon, just as soon as everything is taken care of. Since we haven't gotten the warning yet, I do think it's going to be smart. It takes a lot of wood, though. I do think it's going to be smart for us to get the planks up and running, because we are going to have those to build stairs, and we're going to have those to build a forester, which I'm sure there's at least a couple of you who have said, why haven't you done a forester yet? Because we're working on all this other stuff. It's going to be fine. It's normal difficulty Timberborn is really not an issue, at least for me, who's made hundreds of videos on this game at this point. That's a lot of beavers, but I think the way this is set up is a little annoying to place one of these water wheels in, but I think this right here is probably going to be fine. I know it's 50 logs. That's a lot of logs, especially when we've already cut down most of these trees. But we do need to actually have some sort of power. You know what? I'm going to be smart. Even though this is a superior option, for the water wheel, generates a lot more power. We're going to have no flow here in a second. So it's going to be not the shaming wheel. That's an RCE thing. He's allowed to have his own stuff. But the power wheel, as the game actually calls it, is only, quote unquote, only 40 logs. And we'll be able to make sure that we can, actually do something. So the early game Poverty Industry Center is set up now once this gets built for 55 logs with the power wheel and the lumber mill to make all of our planks so we can build the stairs. We can go get more wood. So, yeah, see, there's that well-being bonus now that everybody's sleeping in comfy beds. And we did it before any of the beavers died, which is always good. So now we have the fun of deciding, yep, there's our drought warning, 3 days. We have other places on the map, more trees, but these are our only pine trees. So we do not, under any circumstances, want to get rid of every single pine, because as far as I can tell, these are literally the only pine trees on the map. Well, at least until we have a forester built, that is. So I am going to start cutting more of these because, well, we actually need the wood, but I'm going to leave at least these 2 strips right here ready to go. These trees getting cut down will not be enough to build all of this. I know that. It's fine. We'll be okay. But I did think it was very important for us to be able to do that. Plus, that being build all this stuff, we have these oaks here. But I will leave a little bit. We'll just build across here. And then I will pop a lumberjack flag over, I guess right here is fine. Put 2 of those in. And then I will actually go ahead and remove these 2 as it is right now. This one can still reach everything, and I will leave a couple of these here just in case for later. But these guys, of course, will have to be carefully cut out. And I'll only do a couple stripes worth of that. That's fine. This can get unmarked. There's no trees here, and there probably won't be for a very long time. But the good news is, drought's in 2.3 days. We have 177 water, and we do have a decent amount of food. I don't have extra storage right now, and I'm not going to be using any more wood to build storage for the time being. But I did want to make sure we were set up about as best as we could possibly be. So we actually almost have enough for this power wheel to be done, which is exciting. That's going to be good there. Of course, we can make the planks, but we can't use them until we research them, which is going to require the inventor, which is going to require, of course, that we actually build one. So I will put one right here. It's going to take a little while to build it, but you know how this goes. I'm actually going to prioritize it, just because we can't really do anything with these other things until that's all taken care of. You know what? Actually, since we have those oak trees, I will save these 2 additional stripes right here, but the rest of this can get cut down. That's fine. These guys go into work. We saw that guy with his hammer come up here. Whenever he comes back, I did want to actually watch that animation. So here they come. Yeah, see, look at that. Look at his hammer go. That's cool. It's a nice animation. And it's done. So now we got to get somebody in here as an inventor, and they're going to be doing that. And all we need to do, I'm not going to worry about planting trees yet. I just want to get the wooden stairs. Those are going to be important. But we'll get that guy. Of course, continue planting our potatoes here, piece by piece. We haven't grown any potatoes yet. They're only about halfway through the first ones. But we are on our way to having science for the stairs. We have the wood to take care of everything else, and it's looking good. Now, of course, we could do the forester first, but again, we don't really need to at this exact moment, and it's only normal difficulty. We're not up against the 8-ball or anything. But I would really like to be able to get up. Not just here, not just for the birch trees. It's dumb to just research stairs only for this, but you see how much verticality is on this map? We really need to have access to the stairs ASAP, because not only can we get up here, we can also, need to make sure these are paused for the time being, we can also start making our way up top here because there's more berries. We've got other trees up here. We've got all this water that we can start pumping out from. We can create other dams and stuff and make this a big reservoir sooner rather than later, and that's exciting stuff. But for right now, all we've got going for us is our little cluster of fun down here. The way this is going right now, probably should go ahead and have a second inventor, just so we can get these points a little faster now that most of the early game building is done, at least as far as I'm concerned. We'll get this locked and loaded. Another inventor, maybe a third, depending on how they want to end up doing this. But food-wise, we've pretty much maxed out our storage. We do want to build additional storage, but I can't research the large ones yet. Medium is fine. I honestly forgot this was already unlocked because I'm used to the nightmare difficulty of the water beavers. So I'm going to... I don't have to, have everything be super compact, but I end up just doing it that way anyway. We'll give the carrots a little bit more storage space up here. And by a little bit, I mean a lot of it. This is going to be prioritized. The builders I'm going to take down to, let's say down to 2. 2 is fine to get these guys going. Power through the rest of the night here. And then we'll only be 1 day away from the drought. We'll get through the drought, and then we'll say goodbye for today. A little bit of a, well, not really that much shorter, but not a marathon length video for the first one in this series, but we will get through the first cycle and see what's going to be coming up next after that. All right, so all of these trees are pretty much good to go. Good to grow, rather, I guess. So that's going to allow us to have that thing paused. These berries still have not grown back because it's a 12-day growth cycle. It's a very, very long growth cycle. But the inventors are chugging along happily. I've got plenty of... Yeah, I got plenty of logs. I don't want to build too many of these because it's kind of overkill. But at the same time, having early access to science is really nice. So I will, yeah, I'll go ahead, put a third right here. And we'll just call it that. Got plenty of water storage. We have enough food storage. That's fine. So we'll keep an eye out for these berries to come back, and then we'll unpause this guy. But for right now, this last guy who's unemployed, is going to come over here to the inventor and do some inventing for us. Because we're still only halfway to unlocking, well, pretty much anything I've wanted to unlock. Stairs or forester, regardless. And of course we have these two things to actually populate once we can, you know, use the planks. But for right now, we've got them doing all sorts of other fun stuff. Let's check out. Yeah, they're actually finishing up the harvesting that they were able to do from these trees that I marked. I'm not going to cut all of them down just yet. So that means we're going to be able to pause these lumberjack flags and put them in these two buildings to actually make some planks for us. You just need to make sure that we reserve 10 logs for the forester and then reserve for our stairs a couple of logs. Of course, to make the planks, 1 log becomes 1 plank. Easy in, easy out. No problems there. We're coming up on, I don't know, about the halfway point for the forester. But now, oh, it's a 2-day drought. Oh, that's so easy. So easy. Just 2 days. Wow. I'm used to the nightmare mode kind of stuff. It's always nice to get a fresh perspective on stuff, though. So, we got a little tiny bit of log storage here. I don't have a hauling post yet, so we can't prioritize any of these things. But that's fine. That's the way things go. I am going to go ahead and unpause the lumber mill and the power wheel. Seeing how I think... Yeah, there's only a couple logs left. And now there's none. So these being done, we'll go ahead and pause. And of course the builders will go grab their logs as necessary. And the workers in these buildings will grab the logs as necessary. So, we got power coming in. 52 HP. And now we've got planks in the making. I've got 69 science. So I could go ahead and unlock the forester. Or I could go ahead and unlock the stairs because I have 70. I told you I wanted the stairs. We're going to unlock the stairs. And those, of course, are going to go right here. Pop 2 of those in there. And now we have additional space up here. We can get our birch trees. We can also ascend this mountaintop area if we want. Not really any reason to quite yet, but having access to this is good. Our water is looking fine. I'm going to leave them just employed in the pumps because it's only a 2-day drought. And if the water ran out, these carrots wouldn't die anyway. So it's fine. Get these potatoes popped in here. And then we are going to want to have a grill built. That's 25 logs. That would be a nice thing to pop up here just real quick early. Make sure that recipe is set to grilled potatoes. We don't need to have storage for the potatoes because this will hold a lot of the grilled ones. At least not, we don't need to have storage yet. We will at some point soon. But that's fine. The time is rapidly approaching, though, where we're going to have to start expanding our housing. So I will go ahead and maybe start building some of that stuff. You know what? I'm gonna put a little jog here because I really should have just used the delete buildings tool. Now we can have access to this. I should have done that in the first place, but you know how it goes. So now we can have them come up here. I can place additional houses on top of all this stuff, if I wanted to, which for the time being, I think I'll just put that one right there. That'll be just fine. Obviously nobody's working here because we don't need them to quite yet. The planks are being used. Up to 37 science. We got less than 1 day left in our first cycle. So we will probably, I think, end that by researching our our forester, assuming we can actually get to 60 science today, which we should be able to do. And then I think it makes the most sense to replant the oak trees and just not worry about these pines for right now, because this is the most density we can get. And it is going to take a while for them to grow, but since we left about half of this grove here, we should be a-okay. Just need a little bit more science. Hopefully that comes in sooner rather than later. And we'll be all good to go. I don't have any more wood because we've been turning stuff into planks. So I will go ahead and pause these two. But now we have all this. Take this out of not turbo mode. It's just fast mode. Get the lumberjack flag up here. And then these are all dead, so it literally doesn't matter. But we'll just mark all these for cutting. Look at those logs. That'll be a whole thing. I have my science for my forester. We'll go ahead and unlock it. And then this can go. Actually, these things are in the way, but I will just put that right there. That'll be fine. These can remain here. That is a-okay. And then we have all these options, of course, for planting trees. I'm going to put oaks because those are great for food, and we don't need maples yet. We don't need chestnuts yet. And we might actually want those. But this space right here, at least this back half, can be oak trees. And by back half, I mean all that space. I guess if I really wanted to plant chestnut trees, it should probably be... Oh, I got all this space over here too. Except these are berries. So I guess that's going to be its own thing there. So, yeah, you know what, for right now we'll just make all these oak trees. That's fine. We'll be a-okay. This will work out fine right there. I will put a couple of small piles here because this space probably should have something there. Of course, our main storage will be right here. But there you have it, folks. We've got just about nothing left of the drought. We managed to be completely fine. No concerns whatsoever. We've kept some of our pine trees. We kept some of our oaks. We're planting additional ones as soon as the forester gets built. Of course, it's not going to be done today because we don't have the materials to actually continue making the planks. But that's fine. It's the first episode. You know how this goes. So here we are. The start of Cycle 2. Day 1. And that's where we're going to call it for today. Thanks so much for joining me for the very beginning of our Update 6 adventure here. Got so much fun stuff to get to. And I am very excited for when we're able to get into the playthrough deep enough to access all of that. So, again, if this is your first video that you've watched of mine, thanks so much for sticking through it, all 50-some minutes of it. A little shorter than what I normally upload. I try to upload about an hour. Currently 6 days a week. Got a couple different games in the rotation. But now that Update 6 is dropped, this is going to become the primary game. So this video today, I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, but there will be at least a couple more this week on Update 6. And then, of course, we have our Update 5 Water Beavers. The next episode for that has already been recorded and will be put up at some point this week after I decide what I'm doing with all the Update 6 stuff. But appreciate you being here. We have a fantastic group of supporters we call the Beard Boosters here on the channel that contribute to make it possible for me to continue doing videos daily-ish. 6 out of 7 days is not technically daily, but you get the idea. Those people really are the heart and soul of the channel. I'm very, very appreciative of their contributions and their support that makes it possible for me to keep doing this. It's amazing that I get to do this as part of the way that I justify my consumption and existence on Earth here. So those folks are fantastic, and you are too for being here and making it possible to keep doing these videos with your comments and your views and all your interaction. I do always read all my comments. I can't always respond to everybody, but I do always make sure to read them, and I take suggestions. It's a let's play, not a watch me play. I always say that, and it's always true. I want your suggestions because we're in this together to have a fun time playing the game and enjoying each other's company. So I'll look forward to that. Again, thanks for being here. Appreciate you, whatever it is you're doing for the rest of your day. Stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you back again soon for more Update 6 goodness, because there's going to be a lot of it. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.